Welcome to the deep dive. For a long time now, we've talked about financial markets, mostly in the abstract. We talk algorithms, data feeds, global stuff. But today, we're shifting gears completely. We're going right into the physical space, the actual workspace of extreme trading. So, moving past the theory, looking at the desks, the chairs, the screens, where traders actually make those intense, high-pressure calls.
Exactly right. And most analysis tends to look at what's on the screens, right? But our source material today, Extreme Trading Desk Setups in Psychology, it makes us look at the whole picture, the entire operational environment. So our mission really is to pull out the specifics, the hardware, how desks are set up, and even some of the initial psychological bits that, define a serious trading setup.
And what really jumps out right away, maybe for you listening, is just how incredibly customized these setups are, almost extravagant sometimes. You might picture, I don't know, a sleek, minimalist glass desk for high finance. But the sources, they're talking about gear that sounds like it's straight out of a pro gamer's setup. 6 monitors, custom keyboards, even specific chairs, like those racing-style gaming chairs. It kind of makes you wonder, what components do you think are truly essential for peak performance? And why does high finance need these super high-spec, really personalized tools?
Well, it's not just about looking cool or being comfortable, though that's part of it. It's more about optimizing the entire environment, getting rid of any physical friction, and making sure information gets delivered absolutely instantly.
Okay, yeah, let's break that down then. The anatomy of this extreme trading desk. Because the sheer maximalism you mentioned, it's really striking in some of the configurations, the sources detail. 6 monitors is the big number that stands out. That just sounds like information overload to me. But the sources seem to say it's actually a functional need. What exactly requires that much screen space?
Right. The need for 6 screens isn't just about watching, say, 6 different stocks. It's more fundamental. It's often driven by operational needs, compliance, speed. These things are key. And what's really fascinating is how specialized those extra monitors can be. Like one screen might be dedicated purely to running some proprietary risk calculation matrix all the time, visible, needs to be there, separate from the main trading platform.
Okay, so one for risk.
Yeah, then maybe another screen is monitoring things like cross-exchange latency feeds, connection integrity. Because if they lose even a fraction of a second in connectivity, they need an immediate visual alert right there.
Yeah.
And maybe a third screen is just for regulatory compliance checks or news wires, completely separate from the trading action itself. It's like an information bunker, really, not just a bunch of screens.
An information bunker. I like that. So it's not just about volume, it's segmentation, specialized views. That kind of technical demand, it must flow down to the hardware connecting it all too. The sources talk about needing robust and powerful docking stations. Why isn't just a standard, high-end commercial dock good enough?
Because a standard hub, even a good one, it can introduce latency. And that's just unacceptable. We're talking about systems that need specialized hardware, sometimes built right into the docks for latency management. They need nanosecond synchronization across all those different data feeds. Think about it. If your beat-ask spread feed is out of sync with your risk matrix, even by milliseconds, well, you're basically flying blind in these extreme conditions. So the docking station isn't just connecting cables, it's managing data flow integrity and timing.
Wow, okay. And then there's the input side. You mentioned custom keyboards. Needing instantaneous input, is that where macros come in, like programming specific keys?
Oh, absolutely. The custom keyboard does a couple of things. First, physical durability. They take a beating. And second, it guarantees a specific tactile response. Really important for rapid, repetitive inputs. Feels right,
Yeah.
But more importantly, yes, these traders use macro pads, programmable keys. They execute complex actions instantly. Multi-step orders, complex commands. Done. With one button press, they aren't typing things out word by word. They're triggering algorithms, canceling orders, adjusting risk, all with dedicated physical buttons. So the keyboard really becomes part of the system's high-speed decision architecture.
That sounds incredibly technical, almost standardized in a way. And yet the sources point out this big philosophical divide, which brings us to that core conflict you mentioned, the whole minimalist versus maximalist setup thing. If the professional hardware is kind of a universal standard, technically speaking, then this maximalist versus minimalist difference must be more about strategy or maybe psychology, not just the tech itself.
That's exactly where the human element comes roaring back in. Because you have traders, both dealing with the same, just fire hose of information, right? But they choose fundamentally different ways to manage their own cognitive load, how much they can handle.
I find that interesting because if having more screen real estate, more instant information streams, if that's a competitive advantage like the maximalists argue with their 6 screens, How can anyone really succeed by choosing less? Isn't there a danger? I mean, doesn't too much visual input lead to analysis paralysis for some? Does the source material give any clues about which strategy actually works better or correlates with success?
Well, the source material suggests that actually both approaches can lead to success.
Yeah.
And it's precisely because they cater to different psychological needs, different ways of thinking. The maximalist trader, you could say, is maybe driven by a fear of missing something, fear of the unseen. So they want their physical space to mirror the complexity of the data. They believe having visual access to everything, market depth, news, risk matrix, all of it gives them a kind of preemptive control. They're using those specialized docking stations to run really complex software layouts across all 6 screens. The thinking is that breadth of vision somehow reduces uncertainty.
Okay, so see everything, miss nothing. And the minimalist then. They're deliberately cutting back, rejecting the noise.
Exactly. The minimalist focuses on, well, brutal distillation, cutting down to the essentials.
Mhm.
They'll still use professional grade monitors, maybe just 2 or 3, but their layouts are highly curated, very specific. They're prioritizing focus and speed of execution over that broad context. The belief there is that by limiting the visual information, they actually reduce cognitive overhead. It frees them up to react faster to the really important signals, the high signal data points. So their success depends on getting that immediate distilled data, and it forces them to be ruthless about what they pay attention to and what they just ignore. It really boils down to a strategic choice about managing distraction under intense pressure.
Right. So whether you go for the maximalist clutter or the minimalist clarity, the goal is the same underneath. Optimize for performance. Which leads us to the really crucial question the source material brings up. Okay, beyond the tech specs, how does the setup actually affect the person, the trader? Does all this expensive optimization, does it actually matter for their performance?
According to the traders mentioned in the source,
Yes.
profoundly. It matters a lot. And this is where we really shift focus from just hardware specs,
Yeah.
to the psychology of the trading space itself. This whole environment is where these split-second financial decisions get made under incredible stress.
Mhm.
And the physical space is deliberately engineered to be a psychological tool to help manage that stress.
Let's pick up on that detail I found so surprising earlier.
Yeah.
The chair. Our sources mention high-end ergonomic chairs, often specifically gaming chairs. Why? Why that particular type of comfort? Is it just about sitting for long hours? Or is there something deeper psychologically tied to the physical setup there?
It's definitely about physical endurance, yes, but it's also about minimizing metabolic waste. During those high-focus periods, the trading environment demands these long, sustained bursts of really high intensity. So a chair that gives optimal lumbar support, helps maintain posture, keeps you physically comfortable for, say, 8, 10, 12 hours. That's not a luxury. It's actually a functional piece of equipment. It directly helps manage fatigue. Because when the market's moving incredibly fast, you just can't afford to be distracted by a sore back or bad circulation. The whole setup is designed to eliminate those physical barriers to mental clarity, making the body as reliable as the hardware in a way.
Huh. So all these physical choices, the monitor layout, the custom keyboard, even the chair, they all link back to the core job demands. Maintaining an intense focus, managing that inherent psychological pressure. The physical dirt becomes like the foundation needed for mental resilience.
That's the key synthesis, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. The way those monitors are arranged creates a clear information hierarchy. It supports rapid decision-making, the keyboard allows for instant action, the chair supports endurance. The whole setup becomes this kind of protective shield, almost, designed to absorb all the extraneous stress, the physical discomfort, so the trader's mind can focus purely, exclusively on the market data.
Okay. This has been a really fascinating deep dive into the material reality of high finance. So to kind of synthesize the core findings for you listening, these extreme trading setups are basically customized operational cockpits. It's a good way to put it. They're defined by really robust, specialized hardware, things needed for data sync, low latency, specifically multi-monitor arrays like those famous 6 monitors and custom input tools like programmable keyboards. And that choice, minimalist versus maximalist, it's not random, it's strategic. It's tied to how each individual trader thinks they can best manage their cognitive load and what they believe helps their performance.
Yes, exactly. The trading desk, when you get down to it, it's not just furniture holding a computer. Not at all. It's really a psychological anchor, a carefully, meticulously engineered environment designed specifically to support high-stakes decision-making under intense, prolonged stress.
And speaking of stress, while we focus today on optimizing the physical space, the setup psychology, The source material does note that the ultimate challenge really is what happens inside the trader's head, how they actually deal with the sheer mental pressure of doing that job day in, day out.
Yeah, that's kind of the invisible frontier, isn't it? We've looked at how much effort goes into creating this physically perfect or near perfect environment to support the mind. But that does raise a final, maybe provocative thought for you to consider. We know the body and the environment are optimized, but how much can that perfect physical setup, the amazing chair, the perfectly synced 6 monitors, how much can it really shield a trader? Shield them from that inevitable, sometimes overwhelming mental stress that just defines the market. If the hardware is flawless, does the human still break under pressure? It's this question of physical optimization versus, well, intrinsic mental resilience.
Definitely something to ponder, maybe as you look at your own workspace. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.